आणि त्या लोकांनी काय करतात, मग ही लोक काय करतात, साखळी बांधा, हे बांधा.
A doctor can do anything to the woman and no questions asked.
I started asking them, what are you giving me tablets for? What is this medicine for? I was not sick, but I was being made sick.
Every week, people from across India flock to Chalisgaon, a remote village outside of Mumbai. They come looking for a miracle.
So right now we're going into a dargah, which is essentially a mosque, and people in this area bring their mentally ill relatives here. There isn't much awareness about mental illness, so they think that they're possessed. So they come to places of worship in search for a cure.
For centuries, mental illness in India has been associated with the supernatural. Many believe that it's a result of black magic, divine retribution, or demonic possession. This dargah is a shrine to the Sufi saint Baba Azad Pir Musa Qadri. It's believed that he has the power to banish evil spirits.
और जिस वक्त तलवार आती बाबा की यहाँ अंदर, तो जिनके आंग में बला है, ऐसा आपका जिंदा करिश्मा परंपरा 550 साल से ये होती है। तो ये हम तो पुजारी थे, तो हमारा काम है उनके लिए दुआ मांगना। हर धर्म का, हर मजहब का आदमी आता, आप देखिए ना, सभी धर्म के लोग।
Stigma against the mentally ill is widespread across the country. At its core is the belief that mental illness is untreatable and a sign of weakness. As a result, very little mental health care is offered, and patients are considered degenerate. So with a lack of proper medical treatment or education, faith healers fill the gap, and these misconceptions persist.
ये सब मरीज है, बाहर गांव से आए हुए हैं। अभी उनके आंख पागल है ना, इसलिए तो आए वो। ये और सब बाहर काटे जाते हैं, सब बलाएं दूर होती है। ये सब बला दूर हो जाती है, तकलीफ जो होती है वो दूर हो जाती है। ये बाबा कैसे नाड़ा ले ले तो लेडीज अंदर नहीं जाती है।
हाँ।
वोट रखो बाबा बस।
While the dargah provides a measure of relief, the rituals to drive out evil spirits can have dangerous consequences.
आणि त्या लोकांनी काय करतात, मग ही लोक काय करतात, साखळी बांधा, हे बांधा, येड्यात काढून त्या माणसाला मारतात. म्हणजे जिथे दवा करायची तिकडे मारामारी चालू असते.
Sushma came to the dargah hoping it would cure her schizophrenia. Cast out by her family after she started showing symptoms, she was stuck with no real treatment and nowhere else to go.
Sushma, how did you end up at the dargah?
मेंटली डिस्टर्ब झाली होती मी. घरात सगळं एकदम गंभीर परिस्थिती. त्यांचं असं म्हणणं होतं, हिच्यामुळे घरात लग्न होत नाही, चांगल्या गोष्टी होत नाही, हिच्या पायी बाप मेला, हिच्या पायी बहीण बिन लग्नाची घरात पडली, हिच्या पायी भावाचा ॲक्सिडेंट झाला. मग उसके दिन से फिर मुजावर आहे ना, दर्ग्यातले जे लोक होते त्यांनी टॉर्चर करायला सुरू केलं. कोणी इथून मारतं, जबरदस्तीने दर्ग्यातून हाकलायला लागले.
Cases like Sushma's are common in the dargah and throughout India's mental health care system. Women with mental illness are treated as less than human. This attitude leads to a system rampant with abuse, where a woman with the slightest hint of mental illness, real or imagined, can be committed by her family with no hope of getting out.
We are very much a patriarchal society. For women, it's usually desertion, abandonment, or institutions.
Dr. Davar is a leading mental health activist and runs an NGO that fights for the protection and rights of mentally ill women.
If you go into any mental hospital in India, you will find that men still go home. After a point in time, families are willing to take them back. But women are there for life. We're at Thane Mental Hospital. It's one of 43 government-run mental hospitals in all of India.
India's public mental health wards are overcrowded and underfunded. Less than 1% of India's health budget is devoted to mental health care, revealing even the government's reluctance to take the situation seriously.
These buildings are in pretty poor conditions. They were literally built in the colonial era when the British were here, and they haven't really been updated since then. And there's grates on every single window. It looks like a prison.
Dr. Guthe is the deputy superintendent of Thane.
मेंटल हेल्थ में कैसा है, पेशेंट का रिलेटिव इतना केयर नहीं करते हैं ज़्यादा, जितना शारीरिक बीमारी वगैरह हो गई तो उससे कम करते हैं। ऐसा बहुत सारे पेशेंट्स 20-30 इयर्स तक रहे हैं यहाँ पे।
She led us into the women's ward, which, unlike the men's ward, could only be accessed through a locked gate.
इट्स वेरी ओल्ड, लेकिन अभी हमको थोड़ा सा रिन्यू करना है, लेकिन बजट का प्रॉब्लम है।
So without that much funding, where do the patients sleep? Do they have to sleep on the floor? Do they have beds?
We are having beds, but they are not sufficient for the patients, so we are the floor beds.
That's just because of not enough money and overcrowding, right? There's so many patients.
इथे काय करता, मध्ये जा, वॉर्ड मध्ये जा, ऊन लागते ना।
There is no law or policy which governs what can happen inside an institution. We've heard about sexual abuse, over-medication, forced drugging, forced shock treatment, seclusion, solitary confinement. A doctor can do anything to the woman and no questions asked.
Once admitted into a mental institution and declared mentally ill, a person is considered legally incapacitated and is stuck inside with little say in how they're treated. There have been reports across India's mental wards of negligent and even improper care, including rounds of electroconvulsive therapy, or ECT, often forced and without consent.
This one female ECT room is there. Routinely, we are giving this ECT. हर रोज तो 25 तो रहते हैं पेशेंट. Most of the mental illness ECT is required.
ECT is primarily prescribed as a last resort and in the most difficult to treat cases. The procedure involves a series of electric shocks to the brain to induce seizures and can have severe side effects, including long-term memory loss.
How about this mattress on the floor? What's this for?
So we are keeping the patients after the ECT here, na?
So there are patients lying down over here
lying
as
down on this.
patients
After
are
that,
getting...
after they get consciousness here, respiration. फीमेल पेशेंट हमारे बहुत सारे क्योर हुए हैं, लेकिन घर पे रिलेटिव लेके नहीं जाते हैं उनको, तो लोड है तो थोड़ा ये होना पड़ेगा.
And while there are patients who no longer need treatment but can't go home, some patients are not even sick in the first place. The lack of patient rights makes it possible for unhappy husbands to abuse the system and commit their perfectly sane wives.
There are a wide range of legal provisions which allow certain authorities, including one's own family, to institutionalize a person in a mental hospital. The easiest way for a man to get divorced from his wife till today is through this petitioning that his wife is insane.
Many of these women never get out, and the ones who do are careful to keep their past hidden. Vidya's husband was able to institutionalize her even though she had no history of mental illness. She agreed to speak with us, but asked to keep her identity a secret for fear of repercussions.
What happened the night you were taken away?
It was around 10:30 in the night. I was doing some work and my husband told me that he was going down with the kids. Soon after that, there were 3 people who rang my bell. They said that we are giving vaccinations to people in the building. After that, I just remember getting up in the morning. I realized that I was in a hospital because a lady, she told me that he was in a psychiatric ward. And it was just a prison for me. It's nothing more than that. Like, it was a place that I was just dumped and I had no way to come out.
So you weren't given any explanations as to why you were there?
No. I started asking them, what are you giving me tablets for? What is this medicine for? They would not say a word. They would just tell me, just have it and finish it off. I was given, ECTs, and I was not told about it.
So you were given electroshock therapy with no consent?
Yeah. I went unconscious, and after that, I don't know what happened. But the side effects were like I was turning to be a vegetable. Like, I was not sick, but I was being made sick.
We hear so many horrendous stories about women who have been given shock treatment by their husbands and by doctors. Until, like many 8-10 courses are already done, she doesn't even know that she's been given shock treatment. So, and this would not happen to a man, because the man has resources to find out, okay, hell, what's going on, this should not be happening to me. But a woman, because she is within the precincts of the family system, without resources often of her own, so she runs the risk of being seriously rights violated.
Why did your husband do this to you?
It was like a planned divorce. That's what I understood after the divorce papers came in. And he said that he wants a divorce on grounds of cruelty and mental illness. But during that time, I got to know that he is having a relationship with his ex-colleague, a woman.
It's something that happens very frequently. The man stands to gain a lot using the insanity petition. He can waive his obligation to pay alimony. He can take over the custody of his kids. He can deny the right to shared property and really just shake her off, without any accountability.
Man can easily do things and get away with it because the system is such that doctor is talking to the patient's relative most of the time. And many women also are very submissive. So it can happen in India. It can happen. These things do happen.
Though Vidya was able to eventually get out of the mental hospital and contest her husband's claim of mental illness, she is a rare exception. While the government has considered reforms, significant change will require a major overhaul of not only the institutions and the laws that govern them, but the attitudes behind them, especially when it comes to women.